Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. It's me, Will. Today we are starting on case 28 of Criminal Case, the Historical Center. So yeah, we just finished off with case 27, the Lake's Bride. So yeah, let's not waste time and get into this case. The Haunting of Elm Manor. Captain Will, call an exorcist. The haunted house on Elm Street has killed someone. Not more crazy talk. What are you on about this time, Ramirez? The haunted house of Greensboro, Elm Manor, has just killed its owner. I tell you that. The house is evil. Ramirez, there are no ghosts of or haunted houses. Will debunk the ones with the ghost of Greensboro, and they'll prove you wrong once again. Oh no! Oh wait. No, Hector, my husband, the house. It killed my husband. The house started shaking, the doors rattled, and the screams. It locked me out, and I could only listen, helpless as the house took him. Ramirez, get her out of here. She's obviously in shock. See, I told you the house was haunted. We should all leave this house before it kills us too. Come on, Will, keep your head on straight. No ghosts, no haunting, just a possible homicide. Are you ready for this? What are the odds that a chandelier that looks to be in perfect condition would suddenly fall just as Hector Fernandez was walking under it? I agree, Will. We should treat this as a murder, not as a result of a haunted house. Let's send the body off for autopsy. Nathan is a rational man, so hopefully he'll quickly dispense any possibility of the death being caused by the supernatural. I got a feeling this case is going to be shrouded in mystery. How about we search through the basket? We might find something of interest. Captain Will, the victim's wife was in such shock that the paramedics had to heavily sedate her. She won't be able to talk for quite some time. On the other hand, Margaret Littlewood wants to talk to you. She said as their neighbor, she might be able to help. I guess I could have guessed Margaret was her neighbor. I can smell her cookies from here. Gosh darn it, both of you need to focus. There's no ghosts, no cookies. This seems to be a family photo of the Fernandez, and our victim has his eyes scratched out. Nope, that's not creepy at all. Oh, I didn't know Fernandez had a baby boy. They did have a baby boy, until the house killed him. Oh, you can't creep up on people like that. I'm sorry, officers, but as a housekeeper, it is my duty to walk around noiselessly. So you're the housekeeper? And wait a second, did you just say the house killed your baby boy? Here, have a cookie, fresh from the oven. Thank you for coming to see me, Captain Will. As Hector and Gloria Fernandez's neighbor, this is also my concern. I mean, it's just so sad, isn't it? I heard the house come alive as it tortured Hector. I heard his screams of torment, and then a loud crash. My poor dog Astrid, she couldn't stop barking. I tell you, living next door to that haunted house is a real nightmare. Thanks for the cookie, Margaret, but as for the house, we really don't think it is actually haunted. Of course it is. The house eats people's souls. I'm just glad Hector started going to church before this tragic happening. Even though you can't suddenly turn up at a church and expect immediate salvation, but I guess he's finding that out for himself right about now. Haha, that's so true, Will. Cookies are my greatest weakness. I know, Jones. I know. And I agree, it is suspicious that someone who never went to church suddenly kept going there. Why did our victim suddenly feel so religious? Good idea. The easiest way to solve this mystery is by going to the church ourselves. Margaret told us Hector kept coming to his church before his death. Now we need to figure out why he suddenly kept coming here. And so if you think this broken device might be key to answering that William, then would you mind piecing it back together? Let me get this straight, Camellia. You're the Fernandez housekeeper, and you're telling us the house killed their baby boy? What happened exactly? What do you think happened? The spirits of the house killed the baby boy in this very wig. Wig? Okay. Since then, Mr. Fernandez closed this wing off because the hauntings were the strongest in the side of the house. But if you ask me, the Fernandezes should never have moved here in the first place. It's their foreign blood that angered the house and woke the spirits up. So it's a racist haunted house. Mock me all you want, but the house killed their baby boy out of anger, and when Fernandez refused to leave the house, took him too. Camila is just as creepy as the house, and I can easily understand why the house scares people. Yeah, because it's a racist house. You're right, well, the fact that both Fernandez's baby and then Hector died in this house definitely helped free the rumors that the place is haunted. And Camila said that Hector closed this part of the house off because he believed in the hauntings. Well, that explains why it looked like such a rundown mess. But if Hector was so scared, so this part of the house, why did he go back there? Sadly, we can't ask his wife because he's still in too much shock from her husband's death. But hopefully the answer will turn up soon enough. Although you managed to perfectly piece back together this device you found in the church, I still have no idea what it is. But luckily, it's got a name on it. Father Von Pratt. Let's go ask him what this device is for. Oh my lord, Hector Fernandez is dead? I failed him. I failed to save him in time from that house. Please don't tell me even you believe that house is haunted. That house isn't haunted. It's possessed. Hector came to me a few weeks back. He was a haunted man. He said the house talked to him, hungry for his soul. He told me of such truly terrifying events. I begged him to move on, moved out, but he refused. So I proposed to try and exorcise the house. I went to his house to monitor the level of paranormal activity with my Geiger counter, and the levels were going through the roof. Officers, stay away from that house. It's full of evil. Do not return there. Some things are clear. Your victim was killed by a chandelier when it fell and crushed his body. However, it crashed down with such an inhuman force. It's almost supernatural. What do you mean, supernatural? I calculated the impact velocity of the fall, and given the chandelier weighs 220 pounds and it fell from 13 feet, if it had fallen naturally, it couldn't have crushed Hector like that. Oh, come on, don't tell us you also think this murder is a work of the haunted house. Of course not. But for now, I don't have any scientific lead, apart from the traces of petroleum jelly smeared on the victim's clothes. So if Hector was really killed by a human being, and not by a supernatural force, and your killer is in contact with petroleum jelly. Later that night. I'm completely lost, Will. Everyone around us believes the house killed Hector and his baby boy. And what if you're right? Captain Will, I got fantastic news. The victim just spoke to me from beyond the grave. Captain Will, I got fantastic news. The victim just spoke to me from beyond the grave. What the? Calm down, I meant from beyond the morgue. You see, I did some digging through the victim's brain, actually. That's so gross, Nathan. And that's when I noticed anomalies in the brain's neurotransmitters due to a psychoactive drug. The drug in question would induce sickening nightmarish visions. My guess is that your killer wanted Vector to believe that the house really was haunted. I need a fresh sample of the drug to be sure, but I think it's a mix from exotic plants which can only be found at the greenhouse. Nice one, Nathan. Come on, Will. Let's hurry and close off the greenhouse as a crime scene before it gets contaminated. Will just got off the phone with the psychologist. She says Gloria Fernandez, your victim's wife, is now in a stable condition enough for questioning. Thanks for the heads up, Ramirez. Your call, Will. Should we talk to the victim's widow or search the greenhouse first? Good job, Will. It looks like this pestle and mortar were recently used to pulverize some plants. Maybe the ones used to drug our victim. Would you mind collecting a sample so that we can find out which plants were crushed up in the mortar? And since when has the greenhouse doubled as a flower shop? There's a note written on the bouquet paper wrapping. To Gloria, my love for you is as eternal as your beauty. Aw, Hector must be behind this. But you're right, it is odd that he never sent the bouquet. And since we know the killer was here, we need to treat everything as a possible circumstance of evidence. Let's start by sweeping the paper wrapping for prints. Mrs. Fernandez, we're sorry for your loss. I moved into the house as a joyful wife and blessed mother. It took both my loves away from me. After the house killed my baby boy, I begged my husband to leave, but he couldn't find a buyer. Nobody wanted to buy a haunted house. My husband foolishly hoped an exorcism would finally get rid of the evil spirits. Oh, but how wrong he was. Now I'm left all alone with nothing to live for. I hope the house hurries up and kills me too. Poor Gloria, losing both a husband and a child, both apparently killed by the supernatural happenings of the house. I think you're on to something, Will. What if the killer used people's beliefs that the house was haunted to try and get away with Hector's murder? If we found out more about the circumstances surrounding the child's tragic accident, it might help us solve this whole mystery. Churches normally keep birth and death registers. With a bit of luck, we might find out the real cause of death of Fernandez's baby's boy. Good work, Will. Let's not waste any time and send the sample you collected from the mortar you found in the greenhouse over to Nathan. Hopefully the fresh sample will allow Nathan to learn more about the true nature of the hallucinogenic drug the killer used on Hector. Good job, Will. Now that you've recovered a set of prints from the bouquet's paper wrapping, we should send them over to the lab. Hopefully that way we'll be able to confirm whether Hector made this bouquet for Gloria or whether it was someone else. Good job, Will. You're right. We should search through that chest to see if there are any documents that could be of interest to us. Look at the note. Pay me back, you fraud, or experience my wrath. It's followed by a string of numbers, but some are faded. I don't know what it had to do with our haunted house, but we do know Hector came to this church, and this note is menacing enough to not ignore it. Great idea, Will. If we recover the missing numbers, they might turn out to be even more intelligent than a signature. Your institution was correct, Will. This chest does contain the city's death register. Now let's see it recorded baby Fernandez's death. Here it is. Aurelio Angelo, the son of Gloria and Hector Fernandez. The cause of death is unknown. It only states that the child was found dead on a staircase at his home. What a tragedy, but there's no mention of any supernatural causes, so why does everyone keep saying it is the haunted house that killed him? Just like with Hector's death. We can't ask Gloria anything about her baby's death. It'll be too hurtful, but maybe Margaret, as her neighbor, might be able to recall what happened. Good job, Will. You deciphered those numbers from that note you found in the church in no time. Maybe back you thought experienced my wrath, and that's followed by the string of numbers. But none of it makes any sense. You're right, we do know the victim kept going to the church where you found this note. So if you think it's linked to our investigation, I trust you. Let's start by handling the string of numbers over to Alex. With this, he might be able to tell us who wrote the foreboding note and why. Yes, I remember Gloria and Hector Fernandez's son, Aurelio. He was always smiling and he loved Astrid here. And then the house took him. What happened exactly? Before I go on, I must warn you that very few people can bear to hear this ghostly tale. So are you certain you want me to continue? Very well. On the night of Aurelio's death, the house became alive with evil. All the mirrors broke into 1,000 pieces, and there were the most terrifying screams. And apparently, when it all stopped, Hector found his sweet baby boy living dead on the stairs. He had smashed right through them. The doctor said he accidentally fell from the top banister, but we all knew it was the house that took the poor little soul. I guess sometimes believing the death of a child was due to something supernatural that couldn't be stopped is the only way to emotionally cope. But you're right, Will. I'm also more convinced Hector was killed by a real person who used the story of the haunted house to cover up the murder. The fingerprints you collected from the bouquet in the greenhouse belongs to Charles Parker, the Historical Center's botanist. Gloria's husband is barely dead, and Charles is already planning to woo her with flowers and love notes. He's not wasting any time. We haven't seen him since the tragic death of that young man who wanted to travel to Australia. Well, it certainly seems Charles has been keeping him busy. I read the numbers written on that threatening note you found in the church, and they make up a bank account. And cue the drumroll, the bank account belonged to Hector Fernandez. I pulled up Hector's recent money transactions and discovered that he placed a large sum in Father von Pratt's personal account. Huh? Now why would a priest take money from Hector Fernandez unless he's charging money for his exorcisms? You're right, well, I think it's time we ask Father von Pratt for a full confession. Yes, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm madly, hopelessly in love with Gloria Fernandez, and if crime is a love, then I'm guilty. Could you at least try and wait a little longer than 2 hours to pass since her husband's death before sending her the first bouquet? I was going to send the bouquet to her as a secret admirer. The fact that it coincided with Hector's death is just a happy accident. A happy accident? It's her husband you're talking about. Can you imagine the grief Gloria must be going through? Please, Gloria was wilting away with that man. It's a sin how he ignored her, and he's now being punished for it. Father, does this note sound familiar? Repay me back, you fraud, or experience my wrath. It was written by Hector to you. Hector called me a fraud because I performed an exorcism that didn't work on his house. But how's that my fault? He was convinced I cheated him. He vowed to take me to heck with him when the spirits of the house came for him. And Hector being angry had nothing to do with the fact that he put a lot of money into your personal account. I admit I took advantage of him and made him pay me for the exorcism, but may goodness have mercy on my soul. I saw a scared man and took advantage of it. But what difference did it make? When he first came to me, I could already tell his soul was way past saving. I can't believe Father von Pratt took advantage of Hector, and imagine if the community found out von Pratt was a cheat. His reputation would be ruined. But it sounds like Hector genuinely felt troubled, but why suddenly ask for an exorcism after all these years of haunting? I analyzed the substance he collected from the mortar in the greenhouse, and it was a composite of several exotic plants. Each of these plants is banning when studied apart, but combined they make an extremely potent hallucinogenic drug, the same substance ingested by Hector. This particular drug would target the epinephrine transmitters and induce strong audio, visual, nightmarish hallucinations in Hector. Like what exactly? Imagine you're walking around your house when suddenly the walls start moving, shadows and would become ghastly specters. Everyday sounds would become deathly walls. The drug would have tormented Hector, driving him insane with fear, and with his own home having turned against him, there was nowhere for him to seek refuge. For the killer to have created such a powerful drug with just a few plants, it's obvious that they are highly skilled at gardening. A while later, Captain Will did some research into the history of the haunted house, Manor. The manor was built by the Brainstones, a family who suffered tragedy after tragedy. Some say it was the house itself that brought up upon the terrible happenings. I tried to find out more about the Brainstone family, and I found this old portrait taken in front of Manor. And look who's on it. Is that Camila, our victim's housekeeper? What the? That's not possible. That couldn't possibly be her in the picture. Unless Camila is a ghost. And that will be the end of this video, guys. I'll see you guys next time for chapter 3 and the additional investigation as always. I love you all. Get out. Which, yeah, is gonna be my new outro now.